here today talking about how to win share during target promotions. And so you guys have me in the beginning here, and then I'll open it up to our panel in a couple of minutes to really talk through some ideas from some other members of the Digits team, and then also from our guest speaker today from Crazy Coupon Lady with Maya. So again, some of our logistics. Here's our agenda. First, I'm going to review what's going on at Target from promotional trends, and then we're going to walk through a little bit of new Target Circle highlights, and then we'll open it up to the panel to discuss, how brands can use their tools to sort of win during this really unprecedented time of promotions at Target. So a little bit about Digits. If you're new to us, if you kind of found us through LinkedIn or this webinar, the publicity, here's a little bit about what we are, who we are, and what we do. So we are an independent retail media agency. We kind of have three buckets of work. The one most relating to what we're talking about today is our brand work, where we manage a large Target digital services COE for retail media. Myself, I used to be on the Target team. I was a merchant, and then I rolled out Target Cartwheel on the business side. Much of the Digits team is former Target experts as well. And so we have built out a services group that today manages over $6 billion of annual sales with CPGs in their business at Target. We also support some brands nationally within the retail media sector as well. Two other verticals you might see us if you follow me on LinkedIn around regional retail media. So we're agency of record for a couple regionals, helping them launch out their services. And then also for a lot of alcohol work. The alcohol retail media business is different due to the three-tier system and a lot of rules. And we bring a lot of tools that connect retailers and connect brands to bring best of retail media to that space. Our flywheel of services at Target, and really what's highlighted here is everything that promotions touches. So what's interesting about promotions is it hits every facet of retail media. The only one not highlighted today is digital shelf, because brands don't typically bring that updated with images and copy and reviews and whatnot on their actual PDPs. But from a flywheel of services, promotions impact Target Circle, obviously, impacts paid search, impacts Roundel and programmatic, and it impacts third-party media or social media that you might be doing through an agency or doing through us. But so now we'll cut to Target promo. And so what's been happening at Target recently has been a heavy spend on promotion. So with our services center of excellence, we are access to markdown data, promotional sales data across our client portfolio. And from a year-to-date spend, Target has spent 41% more in promo dollars than they did the year before. Target's fiscal starts in February, so this is February through May data. And really from some highlights there, one is it is across the board. From our data, it's over 90% of departments reporting higher spends than last year. In two, it's a little bit of higher discount, not super significant, but a point. So 17.5 average discount versus last year was closer to 16. So it's slightly richer as far as deals. A ton of that spend is coming through circular. In a few slides here, I'll highlight, kind of current circular offers that gives you an idea of kind of what Target's doing. And then a lot of it's coming through category and basket spend. And that's a big theme of today's webinar is, as a brand, how do you stand out when Target's running category or GI promotions? Again, most brands have dollars, they have trade spend, they have shopper spend, and your job is to use that to grow share. And when Target's promoting everybody, it's a challenge on sales teams to figure out how to best use that money to drive share, not just lift, if Target's promoting everybody in the same way. So that's a big theme of what we're talking about today. So also at Target relaunched their Circle. So the Circle experience earlier this year, April 7th to be exact. We did do a whole webinar on that. If you are less up to speed on the new changes of Circle, check out our YouTube channel and you can watch our webinar on that we posted about 2 months ago. But what that has led to is Target's sort of current promotional levers and the way that they're bringing promos to market through that 41% increase in spend. 4 big buckets of promotions. One is general incentives, and this is what we're kind of highlighting today, that red box, Target-led general incentives, and how for brands to win in that space. Other promotions continue to be shelf-based. This is more of your older school circular ad or TPR, where you're discounting purchases for 100% of people out the door. But then the two newer ones that have been impacted is the Target Circle auto apply. Again, the way that works is if you're a Circle member, you get the deal automatically. It's not a tap to add coupon. It just gets added. That impacts around 65% of business. And here we have, are there target-led offers or vendor-initiated offers still in this space, mass and segmented? And then the last lever is Target Circle tap to add coupons. These impact around 20% of units out the door, give or take. There's more variability here because of the tap to add equation. And here it's Target Circle bonus deals, buy offers, and then quotient or Neptune offers continue to be in this space as well. But how this comes to life, what we're talking about most here today are these Circle GIs. So these are live examples from the past few weeks within Target Circular, because from an activation side, that's what they've been doing to really drive business. And it's where they're spending most of CPG revenue is in these GIs. So examples being $5 gift card when you buy 2, $10 gift card when you buy 3, a pets deal for 5 off any 2, but typically these are category wide. Once in a while, you might see them on a certain provider, but often they're category wide for own brands, number 1 brand, number 2 brand, number 3 brand, et cetera. Really trying to make it easy for the guest to save money and drive their shopping trip, but it's harder for individual brands to stand out. Other examples here, Target last week did a big BOGO push. We highlighted it on LinkedIn, but over 10 different BOGO offers highlighted in the circular. Again, kind of aisle-wide, category-wide. You can see a grooming example at 25% BOGO, a sun care example at 25% BOGO, where they're bringing these to life more categorically. This is an example of the auto apply. So these offers do still exist. I'd say they often are a little bit more second fiddle to the big GIs. And so our brand partners, we will work to schedule these in and around the large GIs where budget exists and strategy exists to try to drive this business. This is how it looks in the current experience, whether they're calling them out in Circle, percent offs, which is more of a historical activation, to price point offers. You can see kind of on that bottom run where you can do that as Circle as well. And then they show up in the experience just as deals, not as tap to apply. This is Circle Bonus. This is actually a live example this week where kind of Target had done the biggest bonus activation that they've shown in Circular, where it's $5 off when you spend 30 in personal care, but it's only for bonus. It is an apply coupon. It is not an auto apply, but you can start to see them do more things like this in the future. And then again, if you're on the call from an alcohol company, there's rebates. This is a buy offer. These continue to play how they do. And then the Neptune offers on the right are more largely unchanged. Benefits here for both of those are the channel is larger now than it was before, the casting a wider net with the Circle updates. And so both of these have been getting more activity in the space than they were before, but they are still tap to add. So just as a recap for brands, kind of with the new Circle, before we get into promo panel, is Circle offers are now mass, whether they're GI or they're branded. So all those examples from a Target GI were mass. And what's good about that is because of auto apply, they're now super easier with media. So the average Target upper echelon shopper is a Circle member and will automatically get those discounts that you're promoting within media. It's a higher user count of shoppers. It's a bigger priority for Target. And then on the negative side, still working through some shelf signing with Target for mass offers. So not all offers are signed. Some of the priority offers are signed. The less priority offers are not signed, more vendor specific ones. And that's what we're working through with them. And a last data point on Circle. So there's kind of 2 sets of offers. We have their mass offers. That's where we have seen the largest increase in costs. So costs have really gone up on mass for vendor offers. Volume is up slightly, but we've had a harder time making up the ROI equation due to the increased costs. And then the right side, the segmented offers, those are now doing really well. And so Again, we're talking mostly today about how to win with GIs, but running segmented offers in the new circle continues to be a positive strategy. And that's one area that we're growing quite a bit with our clients in that space. And lastly, if you're interested on sort of new circle and how it's managing your business, is we do have a free available circuit market share report. So you can go on our website here, digitsagency.com, fill out a just simple request form for your category. We track all the circle offers run on a daily basis. We have for the last couple of years. And we can share with you how the changes are impacting your category, maybe which brands are running offers, which ones aren't, and sort of what your competitive set looks like within that space as you want to build out your circle strategy within your own business. All right, from here, we are going to introduce our panel. And so the panel here today, we have three folks. If they want to turn their cameras on and kind of come to the front here, it looks like. So say hello to our panel. And as we put this webinar together a couple of weeks ago, we kept getting the same questions from our clients. And the clients are digits. Target is promoting so much these days. You can see in the data that it's up 40%. Some businesses are up 60, some are maybe up 20. That how do they win during this big time of big promotions? And again, a lot of these are large GIs, but they come with pretty big bills that get sent to clients to kind of pay for those markdowns. And so we put together this panel to want to talk about ideas of what's winning strategies in the space. So we've got three folks, two internal here to Digits and one special guest star in Maya as well. So Maya, I'm going to turn it over to you first. Let me stop sharing my screen here so everybody can kind of get big on the screen. And then Maya, let's turn over to you. Can you introduce yourself? Maya comes to us from the Crazy Coupon Lady.
Yes. Hey, thanks for having me too, Dave. And it's nice to be with the whole Digits team. I apologize if people are seeing my name 3 times. I accidentally gave my internal coworkers my link. I didn't know they were a separate link, so apologies for that. I've been working and been fortunate to work with CPG and retailers for the last 15 years of my career. Always been in tech prior to that as well. But I'm here now at KCL, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you guys exactly how we are winning at Target and how we're helping our CPG brands with the promotions that they're running. So nice to be here.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for coming, Maya. Chris, you want to do an intro as well?
Yeah, Chris Throne, VP of our Target COE here. So I work directly with a lot of our brand partners, as well as leading a team of folks, also supporting some of our other clients, kind of across the board, all things Target Digital, from paid search, Roundel, digital shelf, and then a lot of that work being in Circle and in promo, which we're chatting here today.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And then Dylan, you want to go?
Yeah, Dylan Mueller here. Spent first decade of my career at Target, so very well versed, merchandising, loyalty, coupons, everything like that. I've been at Digits for 6 years and have been leading up our media side, so everything from Digits media, paid social, Roundel, programmatic, everything like that.
Awesome. So we've got a great cross section here. Maya, I think I'm going to come to you with first question since we have a non-Digits perspective. So, I shared a bunch of data on Target promotions. You guys, as KCL, you work industry-wide, right? You're not just Target, even though I know Target's a good retailer for your portfolio. But are you guys seeing similar trends across like all of America and retailers, or how do you put this in perspective for us?
We are seeing an influx in mass and drug channel in particular, but we are hearing a lot more from Target. So people, all of our shopper folks that are wanting to run Target specific, we are seeing that increase. I think the biggest change that we're seeing is not just the increase in conversations we're having, but the fact that they're wanting to do more proactive strategic planning. So a lot of the times we would hear historically, oh, sales are soft, we need to increase, unit velocities this month or this quarter. Now we're hearing like, what is our plan for the remainder of the year? So we're doing a lot more proactive planning, and that's just starting. We're seeing that uptick happen as we move into Q3.
Awesome. Yeah, I know whether it's recession-based or trends of inflation or whatnot, it does feel like a lot of retailers are trying to put more deals out there. And it makes sense for CPGs to try to get ahead of that and to try to
I think some stats that I even looked up, I was talking with our analytics team, and we actually saw when I said, well, what's the uptick we're seeing year over year, quarter over quarter? So overall, just overall target engagement that we're seeing on our side is up 3%. But then when we look specifically at Target Circle Week, it's up 26%. So that's
Okay.
compelling. So when you talk about those inflationary pressures, the consumers are not only looking to see like, what should I care about when I step into Target, but like, what is the best value? What are the brands that you want me to care about? What is the best time that I should be buying these? And so Target Circle Week becomes really important. The most important deal type to them are Circle Rewards. So the app, everything on the mobile that you've talked about is extremely important. So I think Target's investment with what they're doing to improve that user experience is very compelling, and our users are listening and waiting to figure out what they're supposed to do.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing the stats.
Mhm.
Chris, what are you hearing from big CPG partners as far as how they're dealing with this at Target?
Yeah, great question, and we've been involved in a lot of those conversations, obviously. And really that playbook for the next, call it 6 months, back half of the year and beyond, really feels like it's still being written, like as we speak here now. Like for me, having been kind of in this Target ecosystem for a decade plus now, it's as eventful of a promo landscape that I've seen. And I think, our brand partners are having a lot of conversations, and kind of what they're sharing back is, Target is still really figuring it out on their end, because there has been a lot of change, right? Like some things you already highlighted, the circle transition, offers auto applying, markdowns being up year to date this year, but obviously still some appetite to, be driving top line in the back half. So how do you balance that out? There's lots of new rules for Target versus vendor-led promotions that are still kind of getting sorted out at the moment. And even things down to like, with some of the new rules, Target's looking more at like stacking of promotions and what are the guardrails for those. So lots of conversations and discussions around like, how do we run promotions at Target? So I think big picture, a lot of that's getting figured out. Like, I think right now, the most important thing you can do as a brand or a vendor to Target is measure, like really understand, what you are getting out of your promotions from an incrementality and ROI perspective. Target, typically is very tops down in how they look at that for promo evaluation. So it's not always the same as like what you'll see on impact for your assortment versus what your target buyer is seeing at the category level. So I think just getting a better grasp around like which promotions are working, which are not, and then sharing that feedback back with Target to determine like how you promote and how you participate.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of thoughts based on what you said. It's like it is the CPG's money, right? So CPGs are funding it, and so whether Target decides the promotions or not, they're asking brands to fit the bill for most of the dollars, and so that makes sense.
Right, and we've been looped in on some of those, and like we know Target is keeping tabs on that, so they're kind of looking out too of like, are the budgets going to run up in the back half, or right? Like, so I think those are some things that are still getting figured out at the moment.
Yeah, 41% up. Budgets run out faster. So what
And
about?
oh, sorry, Dave, but Chris, that just leads me to believe that might be why they're trying to do more strategic planning with us as well, right? Because they have to figure out their budgets, how do they make them stretch, but run really impactful campaigns that they're used to historically running with us.
100%. Yeah, I think it almost puts more pressure on being more planful in that regard, to make sure that you are making the right bets, and part of that is planning a little bit further out.
Exactly.
Well, I think making those commitments in advance, because if they don't make a commitment for October or Q4, that money might be gone by the time they get there, right? If they haven't sort of earmarked that for something else, and so that makes sense. Dylan, what about on the media side, within kind of Target media, third-party social? What are you seeing from Roundel or brands?
Yeah, for sure. So we're seeing a good mix of tactics being utilized to really bring these Target promos to life. So on-site and in-app display, I would say, has really been the most prominent, as I'm sure all of you guys have seen, whether it be Target.com or the Target app. The weekly top promos being featured in any of the premier placements on homepage, key categories, top deals page, some keywords as well. So really, that's been the most prominent that I think we've seen. Brands are increasing their paid search spends. So while this is, you know, kind of brand led, they've been doing this for years, and it's been a very successful tactic where these key GIs, how do you gain your fair share and grow your share within these key promos? Target email marketing is another channel and tactic where some brands are getting hero placements. So continue to work with, you know, your merchant that hopefully can work with your site merch team. Roundel is rolling out social and meta, as I'm sure a lot of you know, but we really haven't seen anything major there on promotions. And I don't think anything's coming anytime soon with that from a promo boost standpoint. And then the last thing that I would say that's not out there, but Roundel used to have more of a promo boost focus on external campaigns. They used to have these options 5 to 10 years back when I was at Target, not to sound like an old man. But they were leaning in heavier on promo boost media options. And we really haven't seen anything like that in, you know, the past few years, whether that's due to a combination of Roundel's minimums or lead times or their campaign timeframes. I'm sure it's more complicated and just less profitable for them. But this has really put the onus on brands to start to have to execute any types of promo boost campaigns, whether it's by themselves, through agencies like us, through KCL, or any other partners like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they used to be a big part. I know when we rolled Circle out or Cartwheel at the time, you know, a ton of sort of singular promotional boosting. That just, you know, is a pretty big, heavy calendar, if you will. Yep. Well, I know when people show up, and so everybody's looking for a couple of ideas to take away to their team. So specific, like winning tactics, like what's 2 or 3 things I can do, you know, if I'm a sales lead, as the people on the webinar are today. And so I'm going to kind of go round robin and have you guys sort of like names, like specific, you know, sort of ideas on how you guys can kind of help people come to life. So Chris, I think from your side, kind of helping people through, you know, the full flywheel of Target, what are a couple of takeaways that, you know, sales leads should take action on during these big GIs?
Yeah, and I think did we have a slide on this one that we wanted to?
Yeah, I can share it up
to pull up. Yeah, and as Dave's pulling that up, I think we've already talked about segmented offers. So, you know, that should certainly still be in the mix as we're kind of zeroing in on some of these mass promotions, general incentives. This is our hit list, if you will, of like, how do you as a brand win, you know, more than your fair share of any, you know, lift or velocity that you would see from the general incentives. So some of these action steps, number 1 and 2, I would, you know, bucket kind of similarly, but Target is willing to, you know, provide support and additional visibility if you know kind of the right things to ask for. So whether that's a featured image that is part of the Circle offer, if it's in Circle specifically, even willingness to you know, support through site merch a little bit more. We've seen that level of partnership really open up in the past, say, 6 to 12 months. I was just on a buyer status call, and we mentioned site merch the other day, and the buyer was very open, and it was just like, yeah, what do you want? Kind of name your ask. So I think nice that they're open to partnership, and buyers seem to have a lot of latitude and ability to feature what's happening there. We talked about aligning Roundel programs. You know, that is something that as a vendor, you need to be, you know, pretty purposeful and ask for Roundel. Dylan touched on this a little bit, but it you know, kind of doesn't fit how they have traditionally run media, where you're running a 6, 8, you know, 12-week kind of brand awareness campaign. How do you align that to a promotion that's typically 1 week long? So setting up kind of media that is a little bit more nimble, and you can do that in ways where you're kind of pulsing in, like, you know, your promo weeks versus your awareness weeks, but just making sure you have good visibility to the promotions that you will be in, and making sure that, you know, Roundel is kind of tying creative to those. Paid search, we talked about a little bit. I think that's a big opportunity for a lot of brands. I think it's talked about more in concept than it probably is executed.
Well, and to interrupt, Chris, I
Yeah.
know we talked to brands on that one. a lot of times it's their national team. You know, it's
Exactly what I was going to say. So yeah, a lot of brands use big national search agencies. They might do it here and there, but it's something that they typically need to be pushed a little bit on, making sure they have line of sight to your promo calendars and knowing kind of which weeks are they plussing up your spend, and that can be done even within your existing budget. It's not even necessarily that you need to add investment to do something like that. It's kind of just the flow through of your spend that way. So yeah, I think that's a big one. Again, I think it gets talked about more than it gets executed, just making sure you have good process figured out and validate that it's actually happening. And then the last one here, number 5, run promo media boost. So that could be through Roundel, that could be through paid search. But I know Maya and Dylan are going to highlight a couple of examples of that, of how you can do that really well, through Crazy Coupon Lady or through Digits Media.
Yeah, good segue. So Maya, shoppers obviously come to KCL to learn about promotions, right? Like that's the history, right, of the platform. And so feels like you guys are a sweet spot for this kind of a thing, just sort of like drive eyeballs and traffic during promo. So help people understand. So like, what do you guys offer? What works? Like what can they do within that space? And so.
Yeah. So, I have to say we are notoriously known for clearing those shelves. So you talked about saving money. There is that component, but when we talk about value, it comes in the form of trips, convenience, life hacks. So they come to us. We were a content publisher first. So it's really important to mention when we look at amplifying promotions. I think, Chris, you just touched on this of when to kind of take that full funnel approach. When are we focusing on awareness? When are we focusing on bottom of funnel tactics? What works really well and what we're seeing more now is when we combine them. So you can see in these 3 buckets, if you think of KCL, and for any brands out there that have not worked with us before, I'd love to talk to you about why our users are so unique. But we have heavy engagement, right? 65 million visitors to our website and app, 225 million on social reach. We amplify the promotions. Now they're wanting to tell a story at the same time. So it becomes a full funnel approach, because we'll write an article, whatever the problems that you're trying to solve. If it's a findability issue, people don't know where to find our product on shelf when they walk into Target. We'll actually do a hosted video showing them where they can find the product, actually going in the Target app, adding it to their cart, or saying, hey, look, it's already there for you. All you have to do is check out. So it's making it very simple for the consumer, finding those life hacks for them. And then also going back to your kind of topic of how do you deal with these general incentives and still getting that market share? We're hearing from a lot of brands, and I'm saying, okay, give us your whole promo plan. Tell us what you're running nationally, DFSI, when you said Neptune offers. What are you doing already as a general incentive? And then we say, hey, maybe we look at some ideas like Dave and I are talking about during Target Circle Week of top 10 brands you should care about. We're going to write those articles, highlight those brands if you partner with us, so we can help you share that story, make sure that your brand is sticking out if somebody is going to spend $30 in the beauty category. So that's kind of where we're really finding a lot of shifts in kind of planning that we're doing is, yes, we want to increase unit velocities. Sales are soft. We're going to do that for you. We do it well. That's what we're known for. But then now let's combine that with TikTok video, with an editorial, with a newsletter, so that you can continue to tell the consumer about why your brand should be set apart from other brands within the category. And then lastly, there's other things that they might have in market. So I always tell the brands, the more you share with us, the more we can create cohesion into your plan and make more efficiencies and make more effective campaigns. They already have to invest. To your point, CPGs are being asked to invest more in Target. Make sure that every single dollar works effectively. So that's what we're hearing a lot from the brands, and it's my job and our sales team's job is to make sure that we're trying to create that full funnel approach when we're developing campaigns for Target.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I think Target is putting out so many promotions, and Target does a good job marketing them in mass, right? Whether that's through their circular, through their email, through whatever their own channels. Even sometimes they're doing TV ads, but they're not typically highlighting individual brands. And if they are, even if you're paying to be part of like a co-branded campaign as a brand, you're typically just a box, one of 4 boxes shown, right? Like on that display ad unit. And I think, it behooves brands to use some of their money to call themselves out specifically, whether that's through a KCL, through whether other channels you guys have out there as brands. You can't just let Target do your own marketing for you within this space, right? You have to drive your own bus in some ways.
And
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
sorry.
what you said there too, Maya, about storytelling. Like, I think there's a lot of incremental value in that. Like, that's the type of stuff that we've seen brands have a lot of appetite for, but Target has historically been like resistant to in a lot of areas. So whether it's something you want to say on a PDP or findability in store, like, those are instances where we've seen brands, try to partner with Target on those types of things, but it's against their guardrails or what have you. So like, to have a forum to do that, I think is, very valuable to brands as well.
I love this
Exactly.
idea of adding in like the top 4 brands to go after too. Like, I know
Mhm.
one here, but now with all these Target GIs, I literally found myself, a buy 50, get 15 off, where I was going through like, what items do I need in this category? Like, what
Right.
household items do I need to buy? And I think that's an awesome way of like getting in front of the customers of, all right, here's the category, you're getting a huge discount. Like, which new items should I be focused on?
Yeah,
And
or
it offers that opportunity too for brands to then find efficiency in spend as well. So instead of running one standalone campaign where it's, hey, I have to invest X, that I wasn't planning to, they can just be included into a broader campaign that's saying promote Target Circle Week. So that's kind of the concept of us trying to find efficiency so that whether they're a small brand or a big brand, it doesn't matter, that they have that kind of share of voice and being able to have a presence during Target Circle Week without some huge, large investment that they didn't plan for in 2024. The last thing I want to add, and just brought to my attention, was that last slide, that drive, is you can see there are multiple touch points within the same category with multiple brands. So that's another thing we're starting to see trends for the CPGs that have multiple brand names within the same category. If they're doing GIs, they know, like, hey, let's do everything in the OTC category of all of our brands and do more of a portfolio play. So I'm hearing a lot more of that, where they may have healthy household penetration, but each household only has 1 or 2 of their brands. They want them to use all of them. So it's an opportunity to do portfolio play. So we're seeing a lot of those types of campaigns pop up as well.
awesome.
Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you. Dylan, what about you on the media side? So, we had talked about Roundel doesn't really have solutions within the space. We as Digits, one of the things that I think we're good at is building solutions for brands when our brands have problems. So what types of solutions have you recently built and rolled out, and how are brands reacting?
Yeah, for sure. So we've started to really see a growing interest from our brand partners this year, especially. I mean, over the past couple of years with promos, but with all the changes that are happening at Target, seen a lot more interest on what are some promo boost ideas with this. I would say most notably, as you pulled up here, we just launched our Digits Media promo boost options. So these are really intensive 1-week media campaigns to saturate our top markets. Normally, our Digits Media campaigns are spread out for 8, 12 weeks long, and trying to pulse in at a pretty even rate across those 4 to 12 week campaigns. Here, we're really focused on saturating the top stores, making it more effective than any other media campaign that we really can within a 1-week promo. All of this, we feature prominent CTAs of your brands and whatever promo is happening that week with the GI, precise targeting, and a goal of increasing your brand share voice and strong incremental sales lifts during these key promo weeks. The one other thing that I'll mention too is we've just launched our own Digits paid social on Meta and TikTok. So you can see Target.trip as well as Cheers.trip handles, where we're running our own paid social campaigns for brands and really from an influencer side, being able to tout and promote brands. Right now, we're exploring launching that with our Digits promo boost to be able to have a comprehensive all-in-one platform of our Digits media solutions for promos.
Yeah, I think to me what's sort of most important in the space here is being able to really drive extra eyeballs, extra share of voice, get more brands on your PDPs than your competitors, or not brands, more shoppers, sorry, on your PDPs than your competitors. And so whether that traffic's coming from paid search, coming from external third party, from KCL, from wherever you're getting that traffic to talk to that shopper and get them to come in, that's how you win extra share, because the category is going to be risen up that week, and you want your dollars, your spend that week to earn extra share points, and that's how you sort of prove that your trade and your shopper marketing is working. Not just, every boat went up, right? That's why your buyer's happy, but why? Yes, we all want our buyers to be happy, but we also need ourselves to be happy in driving shipments and market share growth, within as a brand. Well, I think that is everything we sort of had planned out. I'll open up to the panelists. Any sparked new conversation based on this from anybody on the panelists? Otherwise, we also have an open Q&A for some of the attendees. I believe if the Q&A is working correctly, you can pop some questions in. I haven't seen one come in yet, so making sure that it's working well. But go ahead and pop a question in on the Zoom if you have a question, and our panelists can go ahead and answer it. Give it a minute for any to pop in if anybody's got something burning.
Yeah, and while we're waiting for stuff to roll in there, too, I think the last thing that you left off on, Dave, of just the category being elevated, like that's kind of the point of why we're looking to activations like this as Target goes bigger and broader with more of these general incentives. Like brands really need to work harder of like, yes, there will be more traffic to the category, but how do you direct them and funnel them to your specific brand, again, with that underlying goal of winning more than your fair share. So that's kind of the game here.
Yeah, and Chris, I can't remember if it was Chris or Dylan, but you had pointed out like needing to amplify or boost things even outside of the Target experience because it's outside the guardrails of what Target allows. Again, that's why people come to us to do that. The one thing that we always try to do with our campaigns, and I think it's important for a lot of marketers to consider this, is having multiple touch points for wherever the user decides to start their journey. So when you wake up, are you on email first? Are you checking text first? Are you on social media? We want to see wherever you are that you're going to see that brand that we're partnering with, wherever you start that journey, wherever you start your morning, when you wake up on that Sunday morning and saying, I'm ready to shop. And so when we develop a campaign, it's about really providing different touch points so they see that brand and do so without having to spend Kim Kardashian money on TikTok. Like, let's be honest, brands can't afford to do that. So we do it in a way as the #1 value influencer, we still have that impact. We're getting to 400,000 views within a matter of days on TikTok. That's relevant to a brand. So I think that's an important message too. And again, when you start thinking of broad and mass appeal, people are like, I want to target Gen Zers. And I always remind them, half of them are still living at home. I got one at home too. Don't forget those Gen Xers because I'm the one who pays for everything. So, it's that broad mass appeal, multiple touch points, but you're still helping drive that traffic to Target, which is the key goal of any shopper marketer.
Awesome. We had a question to come in that I'm going to highlight. And so question was around categories. And so, I mean, to put it in perspective, digits, a lot of our clients are food, beverage, beauty, essentials, pets, home, a baby or whatnot. But so we may have highlighted those. And this question here was, do we have experience specifically in hardline categories? So by hardline, what that means to me as a former targeteer is toys, electronics, entertainment, sporting goods type business. And so, and then any specific recommendations in this space. So Chris, I'll probably toss it to you. If you were giving a reco to a toys person, let's just use that as an example. Well, how would that be different? And then Maya and Dylan, we'll have you guys add in second.
Yeah, and yeah, accurate that a lot of the work we do is in grocery and essentials, but we certainly have and have historically done some work in hard lines. And I would say really not that different from how you elevate and amplify your promotions as a brand in those spaces, other than really like the the way those businesses promote is different. So it's going to be generally a little bit more seasonal, kind of around key holidays, Black Friday, certainly holiday shopping time period. So it might be a little bit more condensed in windows of promotions. But I don't think there's really anything that you would do differently in terms of leveraging similar strategies and tactics to make sure when those promotions are occurring, again, driving as many eyeballs and in traffic to those promos as you can as possible. And if and where it is a category level promo, like again, kind of really putting your foot on the gas to make sure that you're winning more than your fair share over your competitive set.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I would argue that it might even be more important in hardline categories than in our frequency categories, given that we were just talking about this as a team. Promos are occurring so frequently in our frequency categories for circles, everything like that. When it comes to these hardline categories, a lot of them are going to be very seasonal, very peak heavy, where you need to make sure that these key promos you're winning at that time frame. Otherwise, you might lose the season. So I think making sure to double down on the things that we've talked about is probably even a little bit more important in the hardlines category.
Yeah, and I'd agree with what both you both have just said there. We actually help support a lot of electronics, lots of toys, cross categories, not just the frequent categories that you mentioned. But there is a lot of seasonality. So they focus a lot more on tentpole events. I am noticing from the daily essential categories, they're willing to do things more with micro moments. They want to do things more unique, but with those consumer electronics, toys categories, they are more holiday season, Prime days, etc., that they're focused on.
Got it. All right, well, I think we are at time. So we are scheduled here to the 3/4 hour. And so we are at time. So we're going to wrap this up. Like to say thanks for everybody for coming. If you're for registrants of it, you will get a follow-up email in the next day or two with actually a link to the webinar. We as Digits have a YouTube channel, so they'll be posted out to YouTube as a public webinar. So feel free to share that with people in on your team. You can contact myself. You can contact any of the presenters sort of within the space. Here, I'll pull this screen back up so people have emails for Dylan, Chris, and Maya within the space. On a very tactical level, you probably heard us trying to pull together a circle week sort of cross-brand kind of promotion, or at least highlight. And so that is something we as Digits in KCL and Maya have been working on. And so if you have upcoming circle week promotions and you want to get extra eyeballs out there and you want to be part of something like that, reach out to us as we're trying to aggregate and pull something like that together. Potentially for July might be a little quick as Target is figuring out their circle week activation still, or they usually do one in kind of later September, October for those timeframes as well to be able to bring things to life. So with that, thank you everybody, and we will be in touch. Have a great rest of the day.